All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We're still buzzing after that ATP Finals shocker, right? I mean, come on. Everyone had Alcaraz pegged for another dominant run, but Casper Ruud clearly had some other ideas.
Yeah, totally unexpected.
So today we're going deep on this one, trying to figure out what really happened.
Sounds good.
We're going to be using the match report from the ATP Finals website as our main source here. So was it as simple as Alcaraz being a little under the weather? Or did Ruud just, straight up outplay him? What do you think?
Well, first off, I think it's important to remember the context, right? We're talking about the Nitto ATP Finals here. It's a very unique event.
Oh, absolutely. The year-end championships, right?
Yeah.
High stakes.
Exactly. And, Ruud might have only had a couple wins since the U.S. Open, but let's not forget, he was the runner-up at this very tournament last year.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, so that kind of experience playing on the stage, that can be a huge factor.
You're right. Sometimes we get so focused on, the recent form, the last few tournaments, we forget about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Okay, let's be real. That scoreline, 6-1, 7-5, that's a huge GE statement.
No doubt.
The match report talks about Ruud being super aggressive right from the start, while Alcaraz had, way more unforced errors than we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah.
It really does seem like Ruud just took control of the momentum early and kind of never let go.
Yeah, and if we're looking for signs of that, I think Ruud converting all 4 of his break points is pretty telling.
Oh, for sure, that kind of clinical play.
It suggests he was not only playing sharp, but that Alcaraz was maybe a bit more vulnerable than we're used to seeing.
Right, okay, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Alcaraz was clearly not feeling well. You could see him sniffling, using tissues.
Yeah, definitely under the weather.
The article even makes a joke about how playing a sick opponent can actually be, super stressful.
Uh-huh.
So did that play a role in the outcome, or are we, giving Ruud too little credit here?
It's true. Even a slightly off-form Alcaraz is a formidable opponent. There's no question about that. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ruud himself said in the post-match interview that he knew about Alcaraz's cold going in.
Oh, wow. So he knew beforehand.
Yep. And he said he chose to just focus on his own game, and just exploit any weaknesses that might present themselves.
Wow. That's some serious mental toughness right there.
Absolutely. To not let that distract him, to stay focused.
Yeah. And that actually ties into something else I noticed in the match report. Ruud mentioned that he'd been struggling with his confidence in recent months. Could this win be, the turning point he needed?
It's certainly possible. A big win, especially against a top player like Alcaraz, can be a huge boost for a player's mindset. I mean, think about how it's, so many examples in tennis.
Oh, yeah. Where a player has that one big upset win, and then it's like something clicks.
Right. It unlocks a new level of confidence in their game. Could this be that for Ruud? We'll have to wait and see. But it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and Ruud himself said that he wants to build on this success. So maybe this is the start of something big for him.
It's exciting to think about, that's for sure. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the mental side of things, I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It's like there's this whole other match going on, inside their heads. But anyway, back to the, actual match.
Yeah.
We were talking about Ruud's aggressive play, but the report actually goes a bit deeper, highlighting how he really targeted Alcaraz's second serve.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it says he won something like 70% of those points. So right from the get-go, he's putting Alcaraz on the defensive.
That's huge. If you can disrupt Alcaraz's rhythm early, stop him from dictating the pace, that's a big part of his game.
Yeah, totally. And it wasn't just about power either, was it? The report actually points out that Ruud had a really low unforced error count, especially on his forehand.
Consistency.
Yeah, and to maintain that kind of consistency against someone like Alcaraz, who can turn any little mistake into a winner,
Yeah.
that's super impressive.
It really is. It shows a level of focus, a strategic awareness.
Right. Okay, we've talked a lot about Ruud's game, but what about Alcaraz?
Right.
I mean, besides the obvious, the cold,
Right.
are there any clues in the report about, what else might have contributed to his, to him not playing his best?
Well, the report does mention that his unforced error count was unusually high, which, some of that could be attributed to Ruud's aggressive returns, his deep ground strokes. He was putting a lot of pressure on Alcaraz. Maybe he felt rushed, and that led to more errors.
So Ruud's dictating the pace, forcing Alcaraz to play defensively.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, that's not really his game, is it? It's like I don't know, trying to fight a fire with a garden hose.
Haha, great analogy. Alcaraz thrives on taking control of the points, using his power, his athleticism to kind of overwhelm his opponents. Ruud managed to disrupt that game plan. He kept Alcaraz off balance, prevented him from finding his rhythm.
Like a boxer who's known for his knockout punch, suddenly being forced to go the distance.
Right. They're still a skilled fighter, but they're out of their element. They have to rely on a different set of skills.
Totally. Okay, we've talked about Ruud's mental toughness, the tactical stuff, but I want to dig into something else. The report mentions Ruud's defensive skills. It talks about his court coverage, how he was turning defense into offense. How important is that in a match like this?
Oh, that's a crucial point.
Yeah.
While Ruud's definitely known for his power, his defensive skills are often overlooked.
Yeah.
Being able to chase down those balls, extend the rallies, force Alcaraz to hit that extra shot, it can be mentally draining for an opponent, especially one who's, already not feeling 100%.
It's like playing against a brick wall. You just hit, and the ball keeps coming back.
And it's not just about retrieving the balls either, right? He's using those defensive shots to set up his own attacks.
Oh, that's so smart.
It keeps his opponent guessing, and they can't get comfortable.
So we've got Ruud playing aggressive, dictating the pace, converting break points, Andy showcasing incredible defense. It's like he had an answer for everything Alcaraz threw at him.
That's the sign of a truly well-rounded player. He was prepared, focused, and he executed his game plan flawlessly.
This match really is a perfect example of how upsets happen. It's rarely just one thing.
Right.
It's a combination of factors, a player rising to the occasion, an opponent not being at their best, and a well-executed game plan.
And you can't discount the power of belief either. We talked about Ruud's renewed confidence, and I think that played a huge role in his performance. When you believe you can win, it really does change everything.
Okay, so I think we've done a pretty good job breaking down this match, but this the deep dive. So I want to take a step back for a second and think about the broader implication.
Okay, yeah.
This match, with their contrasting styles, it feels like almost like a microcosm of what's happening in men's tennis right now. What do you think?
It's a really interesting thought. I mean, it's definitely an exciting time for the sport, right? You've got this new generation of players coming up, bringing a new level of intensity, athleticism.
Feels like a new era is dawning.
And the old guard, they're not going down without a fight.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so compelling to watch. This match, it could be a sign of things to come. More clashes between power and strategy, between youth and experience.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And this result, it definitely throws a wrench into the predicted outcomes for the rest of the tournament.
Oh, for sure. Alcaraz, so many people had him as the clear favorite. Now he's got a tough road ahead.
It's a wake-up call, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It reminds everyone that even the best players are vulnerable. And it makes the tournament that much more exciting to watch.
Couldn't agree more. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and that's what makes sports so thrilling. This tournament, it's wide open now. It's going to be fascinating to see who rises to the challenge.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to Ruud and Alcaraz for a second. We've analyzed the match, the tactics, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the mental side of things. How much of an impact do you think Alcaraz's cold really had on his mental state?
That's the million-dollar question, right? We can speculate all we want, but it's impossible to know for sure what was going on inside his head.
Of course, yeah.
What we do know is that he didn't look like his usual, confident self. And Ruud, on the other hand, seemed incredibly focused, determined.
It's like a mind game within a mind game. Did Alcaraz feel like extra pressure, knowing he wasn't at 100%? Did Ruud sense that vulnerability and, capitalize on it? Who knows? But it's fun to think about, right?
It really is. It just goes to show how complex and fascinating the mental side of sports can be. It's not always about who's physically stronger or more talented. Sometimes it's about who can handle the pressure better, who can stay composed when the stakes are high.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
The tactical details, the implications for the tournament, the mental battle between these two players. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the present, the future of men's tennis.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to acknowledge the past as well. What do you think?
I agree. The history of tennis, it's so rich, you know, full of iconic rivalries, unforgettable matches.
Exactly. And this matchup between Ruud and Alcaraz, their contrasting styles, personalities, it got me thinking about those legendary rivalries of the past. Borg and McEnroe, Agassi and Sampras. I mean, those were some epic
Oh,
battles.
absolutely. Those rivalries, they captivated the world. They still inspire us today. The intensity, the drama, the sheer brilliance of those matches, it's what makes tennis such a special sport.
And those rivalries, they weren't just about the tennis either, right? It was about the personalities, the narratives, the storylines that unfolded both on and off the court.
Yeah, it was like watching a real-life drama unfold.
Exactly. Each rivalry had its own, unique flavor. That set of dynamics that drew us in kept us on the edge of our seats. Borg and McEnroe, it was like the Iceman versus the hothead. Agassi and Sampras, you had the flamboyant showman versus the stoic champion. Each matchup, it was a clash of styles, personalities, generations.
And they really helped to shape the sport too, didn't they? They pushed the players to new heights, inspired new generations of athletes. They created a legacy that continues to this day.
Absolutely. And, as we watch these young players like Ruud and Alcaraz battle it out on the court today, it's exciting to think that maybe, just maybe, we're witnessing the early chapters of what could become, one of tennis's next great rivalries.
That's a really exciting thought, to think that we might be living through a new golden age of tennis, with these incredible athletes pushing the boundaries of the sport.
And we're lucky enough to be able to witness it.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe years from now, people will look back at this match, Ruud and Alcaraz, and see it as a turning point, the moment that sparked a rivalry for the ages. Only time will tell, but it's definitely a match that will be remembered.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we're not done yet.
There's still so much more to explore.
In our final segment, we're going to shift gears a bit and delve into a topic that's often overlooked, but equally crucial: the role of technology in shaping the future of tennis.
From Hawkeye to wearable sensors, virtual reality training to, all the advancements in racket technology, we'll explore how tech is changing the game, both on and off the court.
Okay, so let's serve up this final set of our deep dive, shall we?
Love it.
We spent a good chunk of time talking about that epic showdown between Ruud and Alcaraz.
Yeah.
But now I kind of want to shift gears a bit, volley this over to you and get your take on something that's been on my mind.
Okay, I'm ready.
The tech side of tennis. It's evolving so fast these days, it's kind of hard to keep up. What's your take on all that?
It really is remarkable how much things have changed, even just in the last few years. I mean, remember when we were all like squinting at blurry TV replays trying to figure out if a ball was in or out?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Those are the days. And now we've got Hawkeye, you know? Giving us pinpoint accuracy on every single call. It's taken away all those what if arguments that used to drag on forever.
It's a game changer for sure. But honestly, what's really got me thinking is all the wearable tech that's out there now. I mean, they can track everything. Heart rate. Yeah, you don't want to get so bogged down in the numbers that you lose that intuitive feel for the game.
Exactly. It's like the difference between, playing a song by ear versus obsessing over every single note on a sheet of music. You need both, right? The skill and the instinct.
Totally. So where do you see all this tech heading? What are you most excited about? Is it all about the wearables, or is there something even cooler on the horizon?
One area that I find incredibly fascinating is virtual reality training. Imagine being able to step onto a virtual center court,
Yeah.
and practice against a simulated Roger Federer.
Whoa, that's next level.
It's mind-blowing, right? The possibilities for honing your skills in a controlled environment are pretty much endless.
It's like having a personal training session with a legend without ever leaving your living room.
Exactly.
But hey, let's not forget about the rackets themselves.
Right.
I remember when wooden rackets were the norm. Now they're made with these space-age materials.
Right. The ball practically explodes off the strings.
It's insane. So with all this tech in the mix, does it even come down to the player anymore? Or is it all about who's got the fanciest gear?
I really don't think technology will ever replace the human element of tennis. It's still about the skill, the strategy, the mental toughness. But tech can definitely enhance those qualities.
Give players an edge.
Exactly. And it makes the game even more exciting to watch, in my opinion.
It's like a high-tech arms race,
Yeah.
Pushing the limits of human performance.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still those gutsy rallies, those impossible shots.
Yeah, those moments of pure athleticism that really make us fall in love with the sport.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. Technology, IS, changing the game. There's no doubt about that.
Hmm.
But it's up to us, players, fans, everyone involved, to make sure it serves the sport, not
Yeah.
the other way around. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between innovation and tradition,
Yeah.
data and intuition, the human and the machine.
Beautifully put. And on that note, I think it's game, set, match for this episode of the Deep Dive. We've gone deep on a shocking upset, explored the mental game, and even got a glimpse into the future of tennis tech.
It's been a fun one.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world around us.